Just another thing I just wanted to mention. We talk less and let the candidate speak more. We talk more when we give the advice. And also we don't interfere in each other's thing.
Please.
Yeah, please.
Good morning, sir.
Morning. Please come.
Thank you, sir.
Hi. You're from Kolkata, right? So lots happening there.
Sir?
Lots happening in Kolkata right now. It's
Yes,
in
sir.
the news for all the wrong reasons. So what's your take on it? Whatever is happening between the CBI and the Kolkata Police.
Right, sir. So it's all about the Sharda scam, where it's a Ponzi scheme where a number of millions of people have been cheated with billions of rupees. And Supreme Court has given a verdict, for investigation by CBI in 2014. And like CBI, as per their duty, they have went to investigate Mr. Rajiv Kumar, Commissioner of Police in Calcutta. However, he was not able to, he was the CBI went there and they were manhunted and they were taken to detention as well, and they were released after some time. Yeah. So it's altogether disturbance in the cooperative federalism as such with the union and the West Bengal.
So in light of this, do you think there have been arguments made that the CBI should be disbanded perhaps?
CBI should be
Disbanded, yeah, it should be folded.
Well, so CBI is an institution, it has its own role to play. And I would say that it's not justified to disband altogether CBI, because CBI here has not done anything out of the jurisdiction of the purview. And like the Supreme Court's verdict in 2 days after, that CBI should continue the investigation in Shillong. And the Supreme Court has ordered the Commissioner of Police of West Bengal to cooperate in the investigation. So in any of the case, I cannot see that this issue where the CBI could be disbanded or something.
And do you think the political leadership of a state should back the police and administration the way it has done in this particular case?
So, indeed, yes, the government should back the institution, but backing in a proper way, and that should have some reason. Because here what has happened is something very political impact, a political interference. It's not a backing of the government rather. So I would say yes, the backing is indeed required, but not this way. What has happened? I mean, sitting in the dharna and challenging the federal structure of the Union of India. So that is something which is not justifiable.
Okay. And what has inspired you to try for the civil services?
Well, the civil service itself is a very inspiring and challenging job. And for me, initially I wanted to be a Air Force pilot. So from the very dream of my childhood is to go into government services as such and do something for the country. But I was diagnosed with the hearing impairment and I was not able to clear that. So anyhow I cleared my CDS and SSB. However, I couldn't go further. So then I got an opportunity for this Staff Selection Commission, CGA. I was selected there, and then I thought to pursue further to civil services as well. Along with that, yes, my dream of representing India, being an IAS officer, representing altogether 1.3 billion people of the country. So it's indeed my dream and my aspiration for it as well.
Is that your first choice, IFS?
Sir?
Is IFS your first choice?
Yes, IFS is my first choice. Yes.
And any changes you think or reforms are required in the foreign services, specifically the way they operate?
Yes, changes are indeed a dynamic concept and it has to be. There have been many changes I see from not only from the diplomatic level but also from the social level. Currently we can see that the passports and visas are being issued in a very urgent and well-mannered way. Along with that, the foreign ministry is doing very well job with the protection of the Indian diaspora in the international, altogether all the countries. Along with that, I would say that yes, other changes are required, like the changes that I would say is e-governance. e-governance in the sense like there are a lot of paperwork which takes time, because so that could be very well minimized if we take the help of information communication technology tools. Along with that, there should be more sensitization of the employees regarding the Indian diaspora, and we could have an extra leg to help them in the scenario of any disturbance or anything as such in distress.
So what is your take on social media and governance, especially tweeting to Ministry of External Affairs on passport issuance and various other issues?
Well, the social media is a channel. It's one of the channels. And regarding though, we have witnessed some of the positive and negative aspects of that. Like the positive aspects is that the people are getting, and they are getting the complaints of the people are getting resolved through social media as well. Maybe it would be Facebook or Twitter or something like that. However, along with that, we have seen that that the social media has been taken to a disadvantage also by the people, with high risk of propaganda being done with respect to issuing of passport and corruption and other things, where some of the things were true, however some of the things were false.
Is the grievance mechanism which already exists in the system is not worthy that we have to take social media into chance?
Well, sir, this grievance mechanism is working. As I said that social media is one of the factors. So grievance mechanism is a factor there, is a channel for this management of grievances. Along with that, we see that social media is very much touched to the people, ordinary people. So here the people can, this is also like they can raise or flag their issues in social media. Because in that case, it's not only the ministry who is taking the things for resolution, but it's about other people also who has felt or has came to that kind of disturbance. So they also join in and they also say that yes, this is happening. So that it's a better way to resolve it with a mass support and mass complaint impact, I would say.
So are you aware about migration of labor?
Sir?
Migration of labor?
Migration of labor?
Labor.
Yes.
And can you give me like major nations where India is the exporter of human labor?
Well, sir, it's we have around 3.2 million people in the diaspora, where the labor part, white collar job is there in the most is in USA, where around 4.4 million people are there. Along with that, we have Saudi Arabia and other Gulf countries, where altogether 8 million people are there for blue collar jobs and other things. Yeah.
So what is the status of remittances from the Indian diaspora?
So the structure of remittances, like India has been the highest gainer in case of remittances. Like last year, we have almost around $70 billion as in remittances from Indian diaspora.
What do you think the role of energy in the development of a country?
Role of energy.
Energy.
So energy is something like is always required, and this is something which cannot be dispensed of. And for India, like the number of energies like solar energy or petroleum or electrical and other things. So India is called deficient in case of energy, that is with respect to petroleum gases. Here, we are purchasing energy from Gulf countries, from Venezuela and other places to get meet the domestic requirement for the development of the country.
We have large reserves of coal.
Yes, sir.
So why is not the government banking more and more on the coal?
So coal has certain limitations, and Indian coals do have one more limitation, that it is not having a very high calorific value. And along with that, sir, the coal It is not a renewable sources, number one, and second, sir, it emits the high pollution gases, and it is not good for the green environment of the world. So that is why we are somewhere limiting coal and switching up to other renewable sources of energy like solar energy and hydropower energy and other things.
Can you think of and mention any important development in the energy area in the world?
So we have discovered a few other sources of energy like this shale gas, which has high quantity being discovered by USA, and India itself is progressing towards renewable sources of solar energy and wind energy, and we have a mega project of 175 gigawatt of energy to be produced in renewable sources. So this is a major development, and we have a target of around 2022 for this.
Will you know which is the highest crude oil producing country in the world now?
So
Highest crude oil producing country in the world now?
So highest crude oil producing country in the world now is Saudi Arabia. After that is, I believe it's Iraq, and then after Iran probably.
It is USA. Okay.
Okay, so you worked for 7 years in family business also.
Yes, sir.
So can you please elaborate what are the challenges faced by small businessmen post demonetization and GST?
Well, sir, small businessmen are very much constrained about financial support, and after demonetization, this financial support has been more constrained. The paying of laborers and the vendors, this has been very much limited and squeezed, where number of unemployment has also been generated and number of orders has also been cancelled due to non-meeting of the timeline or the deadline of the productions and other things. So this has been the major impact of demonetization.
And what about impact of GST on small businessmen?
So GST is being termed now as a very cumbersome process with every month returns filing, then way bills and other things. So this is somewhere disturbing the small traders because they are not able to, or they have to keep manpower especially for that GST compliances. However, government is acting positive because in this particular budget also the government has exempted the GST ambit for the traders of turnover of 40 lakhs and below.
So in your opinion, GST is a good step or not?
So,
in your opinion, is GST a good step or not?
so in the long run, yes, GST is a good step, and major developed country have been implementing GST. In the short run, indeed, it's a new compliance. So yes, there will be challenges, and once the things are being streamlined, then indeed this is a very good step. So,
what are the regulatory challenges faced by shopkeepers?
So regulatory challenges is number one is the trade license, taking of trade license.
Okay.
Yes, then it was VAT. Previously it was VAT and sales tax and other things which have been subsumed to GST. Along with that, sir, the way bill. I mean, when sending the products to different places. Along with that, sir, there are other compliances like professional tax, which is usually being paid by a proprietor or the partners. So these are the major compliances.
After BSc, you completed your LLB also.
Yes, sir.
Okay. How do you address the challenges of integrity in legal profession?
So integrity itself is a very core aspect of an individual, whatever the profession it is, and it's important for all the professions or all the individual, in fact, maybe in profession or not. However, integrity in the advocate or lawyers, particularly if you're speaking of, so it's yes, in fact there may be some issues about it, but sir, it's altogether personal principles and aspects, so I'm not able to clarify on that particular part, sir.
Okay, and you like cooking.
Yes, sir.
So what do you cook basically?
Basically, sir, my favorite dishes are non-veg, and I go for North Indian, Chinese, and Mughlais.
Okay. Nowadays, vegetables are different, very different colors. Why so?
Vegetables, yeah, all vegetables has their own characters and properties, so they taste differently.
Okay, but same vegetable is also in quite different colors also.
Yes, sir.
Can you elaborate the reason?
Sir?
Can you elaborate the reason? A same vegetable is also available in different colors.
Right. So, I'm not very sure, but many of the reasons are if I say that if we take the spinach leaves and other things, so that is where the chlorophyll aspects of green chlorophyll is there. However, they're saying brinjal, so the chlorophyll color changes. It's a violet, yeah. So that's the difference between the colors. Yes, sir. But yeah.
Adulteration in food is a major issue in India. How can we tackle it?
So adulteration could be tackled by, first of all, there is no any point source of tackling, because we have number of lakhs of restaurants and lakhs of manufacturers who are producing and selling the foods. Let's say it's a street vendor or multi-star hotels. So that should be made a point source. Number one, the production should be a point source, or second is that it should be quality controlled, and I'll say that the major role should be played by FSSI. Yeah, and here because they are doing it. We have identified like in Maggie case and other, they are doing it, but as because India is such a big country, and it's very tough getting through it. So, the vendors who are selling or producing things, they should be licensed compulsory, and they should be surprise checked with their foods, so that adulteration is not being carried forward. And along with that, sir, there should be a feedback mechanism to consumer as well, who with the real time instances of this feedback, which can go to the FSI in this, who can check further in this.
Okay. So what do you think about this latest government policy about reservation? This 10% for economically weaker section.
Government policy board?
Reservation for economically weaker section.
I'm sorry, sir.
Quota.
Economic policy of?
No, the government announced recently, they passed a bill in the parliament reserving 10%
Yes.
for economically weaker section.
Yes.
So what do you think about it?
Sir, as per the general category is concerned, so this after the Mandal Commission, so they general category considered them to be a betrayed, because when the reservation was given to SC, ST and OBC, it was extended to OBC as well. So general category, they saw an encroachment of 50% of the reservation of the SC particularly. So this is a long-term demand of general category, which has been met by this particular government, giving 10%. But sir, I feel that there are a number of challenges as well in this, because the first challenge is if we refer to the case of Indra Sawant versus Union of India, the Mandal case. So there the Supreme Court has already said that the limitation of reservation cannot extend more than 50%. However, this has been extended by giving this 10% reservation. It's whether this will be implemented or implemented, whether this will be stuck up by the Supreme Court. So that's a future we need to see. Along with that, there are indeed that many people who are in general category but economically weaker. So that is also a challenge to their life. And as personally, I believe that yes, they too should be getting some reservation for this.
What is your take on this Sabarimala issue about entry of women in the Sabarimala temple?
Entry of?
Women in the Sabarimala temple.
Okay. So the Supreme Court verdict itself is having a concurring and dissenting opinion. And for me particularly, I would say that religious is something a personal affair. And everybody has the same right in India as per the constitution. So restricting somebody for a particular physiological aspect is something a discrimination under Article 17, and they should be curtailed off. So the Supreme Court verdict majority that they should be allowed. I am in favor of that. So.
What are the major challenges of Indian agriculture?
So, Indian agriculture is facing number of challenges. Number one is that the monsoon management. That's very big aspect because the meteorological department is not able to predict the particular kind of rain or the drought and other thing precisely and to the particular region. Along with that, farmers are very much distressed economically as well as with the production and with the market value of the product. So the challenge, and along with that, if the things have been produced and having a good market value as well, so then again they face a further challenge of storing the grains. So food, keeping the food storage, the cold storage. So these are also deficient in number as per the requirement of the country. And so other challenges is like the water resources and the fertilizers and pesticides being used has been disproportionately being used and is now challenging the climate as well, which will again further will in a cycle will hamper the cultivation in future. Sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, we'll call you in a few minutes. Yeah, please. Okay, you go ahead. Okay.
Okay. What do you think about your interview, about your performance?
It was good.
Can it be more better?
Yeah, indeed.
So how come?
Well, sir, there were a number of words which I was actually trying to catch up.
Okay.
Yeah. Along with that, the answers could have been more polished and crisp.
It's very good that you realize how you can score much better. Okay, in my opinion, okay, the overall manner in which you conduct the interview was actually very good, and you have a very good potential to score very high, possibly 200 plus in the interview. And if you believe that you can polish your answers more,
Yes.
and if you can maintain a better eye contact with everyone, that will
Right.
also help. And you have a very good smile, you can smile more,
Okay, that's
and you ask questions when you are not able to understand. So that's a very positive point. And overall, it was very good.
Thank you, sir.
I felt that you appeared very mature persons, and you did not get flabbergasted or lost if you did not understand a particular question. You asked again and again, more than once you asked.
Yes.
What did you ask? What did you ask? So this was a very good point, because if you have not understood, you can't respond.
Yes.
So that showed confidence that you wanted to understand question before you give a response. Well, certain things, you need to, I think, you have some time to polish your information level and knowledge, which will help in giving more, let's say, specific response, rather than very broad-based and general.
Yes.
That will help. But you have definitely good potential. So you will do well.
So I think your crisp answer and maturity was the asset which you are carrying. And as everybody mentioned, Santosh, that I think that is the strength which you have, and you are very well using it. The only thing I would say is that there's no end to improvement, definitely. But when you are giving your original thoughts, that could come with a smile, because that's original. And when you're talking something on which is already known to everybody, that will come with more of a firm confidence. A little bit of, then it creates as if, is it you're asking or you're saying, like that kind of thing. And I think those are very minor thing, and I think you're going to do very well. When is your interview date?
So on Tuesday, coming Tuesday, sir.
Coming Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
Good.
on 12th.
All the best.
Thank you, sir.
I think your communication was very crisp, very measured, right? And you have a very calm demeanor, which is also, so you should maintain that even in the actual interview. If you were stressed, it did not appear so at all, so which was very good. And you're also dressed very smartly, so that also leaves a very positive first impression. And you were articulate, right? You have this flair for conversation, right? So you're like a natural. Your answers, responses didn't seem rehearsed or right bookish, which was good. So you come across as a thinking person, and I suggest you maintain that, and you should do very well in the interview.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Are you anxious because you have this hearing impairment? You are anxious that you are not able to listen properly.
Right.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have an answer for that because it is there written here, so people see that.
Yeah, I think they will be looking after it.
Yeah. So you don't have to worry about that.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the key point.
So people would know about it. So you don't have to worry or feel anxious or nervous on that count.
Yes, sir.
In fact, now these days the trend is when someone has a sort of disability to be extra sympathetic. Okay, so that goes in your favor, so you can relax. You come out as an original thinker. You have your ideas, your opinion, based on assimilation of facts, analysis, and your vision and your ideas. That's very good. It comes out very well. So you can feel free to elaborate because the board is not here to check whether you know this or that facts. The board wants to know more. How do you process the facts? And what do you make of that? How do you react to that? So that process, that intellectual process and your attitude, how you deal with issues, and that is what people want to see, whether you have the potential. Facts you can always pick up, there's no problem. Okay, so that is a positive point in your favor. So you can feel free to express your opinion even more fearlessly. Okay,
Yes.
because people want to see, you want to provoke and see what do you think.
True, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
good.
Sir, I have one question, like Sabarimala question, like what is your opinion? And so, how much that matters? My opinion, I'm sticking to a Supreme Court verdict or giving an adverse opinion apart from this?
No, you should give your opinion.
Okay.
Okay, what do you think? What is your analysis? What is your judgment and evaluation? People are interested in that. Supreme Court, everyone knows
Great, sir.
whether you agree with Supreme Court or not, and that's what has to come out. So you should feel free and bold enough to feel what you think.
Yes, sir.
And only ensure that your answer is reasoned, right? So whether you support women's entry or you're against it, it should be with reasons.
Yeah.
But these are the bases on which I've formed my opinion.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
good luck.
Thank you, sir.
All the best.
Thank you.
All the best.
Good day, sir.
Sir, do we need to take a